Okay, bent it.
Hello! Today I'm going to show you how I made my autumn fairy costume, which I made maybe a year and a half ago, and now I've just found a bunch of old videos from when I tried to make it, and I've just decided to squash them all together, and hopefully my voiceover will help explain it a little bit. Hopefully there are also videos that explain it too. Anyway, the first thing that I did was use the Self-Made Princess book by Nikita Cosplay, because in general that's just been really helpful for me. Yeah, I'll let old me tell you a little bit more now.
I use this as my lining for the skirt. I'm going to use this to make petals, but we'll get to that in a minute. A good thing. Okay. I may as well just keep this here, won't I? No, I'm going to read for a minute, and then I'm going to put it back. Okay. This is dressing for. I'm going to read, do maths, and then make this. Ooh, okay.
Okay, so now I spend a solid like 15 minutes reading, and got extremely confused with it all. Creating some wonderful quotes, like this one.
Because it's a half circle skirt, what I'm assuming is because a full circle skirt would be like a big fat circle on the floor. A half circle is just that.
Yeah, it was a confusing time, I'm gonna be honest,
Oh,
but
wait, so no.
yeah, I tried my best.
I hate maths, which is really stupid to say because I actually love maths.
I think after a while of solid focusing on random things, your brain tends to mush, and the best thing that you can do is just to go for a walk outside, or keep talking to yourself like I clearly am doing here.
Yes, yes.
It was a lot of work, and it took a long time to figure out, but I think eventually we got there.
I understand. I'm so confused, but I understand.
So next up, here I am cutting out the skirt that I decided to make as the underskirt, only to realise that it was way too big and not what I wanted at all.
Okay, I've had a lot of thoughts in the last few minutes. So, I'm confused because I've made a circle skirt before, so I don't know why it's gone wrong this time. I will figure that out in my own time. But anyway, so because it's too long, what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather it all up so that it fits along this gal right here. This is mine from before, by the way. I have this from when I was in a band. That's a story for another day. So I'm going to gather it, and I'm going to put the petals on it and pin them onto it and see just what looks nice. But to be fair, because it is so like out and wide, I reckon that means that the skirt's going to spin nicer. So that's cool. So my plan has changed because it was been a few weeks since I was working on it, and then I looked at the design again and was like, I actually don't like this. I don't want to do it this way anymore. So I started looking at what autumn fairies look like, and I thought, I know, why don't I just piece together some kind of autumn fairy look, which is essentially just a bunch of leaves stuck to a dress. And I figured, well, I've got some leaves and I could make a dress easy peasy. And I've already got a corset, so this is them. So I made this a few months ago, and I thought, well, because this was supposed to be for a pirate costume, I thought, well, it's already got like autumny colours on it. All I need to do is throw some leaves onto it to make a fairy costume. So that's what I'm going to do.
Now, when I say that I had leaves, I meant that I had little leaves that I can stick onto the corset. What I had to make was big leaves that would become the skirt. That's what this piece of paper is going to be templating here.
This was to attach to like the... Yeah. I think it'll be fine. So let's make some leaves.
Now, I've already edited all these videos together, so I've seen what happens next. This voiceover is just on top. So I don't know why I spent a solid 10 minutes cutting out a piece of paper to look like a leaf, only to then completely abandon it and just cut freehand and free draw a leaf onto my curtains. Does not make sense to me.
So I've changed my plan again. There's a lot of music happening next door. I'm going to go see what's going on next door. It's just ignoring the really terrible music. So I decided that I'm going to cut the underskirt completely because the petals are kind of coming out a bit. I quite like the length of the petals. So yeah, what I've done instead is I've decided to make a waistband. So what I did was I literally just chopped off the folded over bit, the hemmed bit of the curtain. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure it to fit my waist. And then what's nice about it is because it's folded over, what I can do is just put a string through it and tie it around with string, because you're not going to see it underneath the corset. I'm not really going to worry too much about fastenings. I don't know what's happening next door. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpin this, pin my leaves on the inside of it, hand sew them to the inside of it, and then add more leaves as need be to that. So that's my plan. That's my new plan. I think this plan will work. Yeah, see you later.
So there you go, I spent 11 hours reading through that book for absolutely nothing and just cut the skirt completely. That's always fun. Anyway, here you can see me pinning some leaves to the belt, as I explained earlier. I don't think I need to say much more. Yeah, the music in the house, by the way, it's because I was living in a shared accommodation at the time, and they did some very strange things. Okay, here, I was editing this and couldn't stop laughing. I don't know what kind of cutting technique I've decided to use today, but we've gone for the technique where you just kind of throw some paper on the top of it and then use your knee for support to cut out a bunch of leaves. Because apparently you can't cut anything else out without using your knee to keep everything in place. Do not do this. If you do actually plan on making a dress like this, just don't do what I'm doing. It's so stupid. And then this cutting freehand. This is like really flimsy material as well. It's so difficult to cut. I should have just used a rotary cutter. Like, I had the board and I had a rotary cutter. I don't know why I didn't just use those. I'm just deliberately making my life harder. And here's some more wonderful, awful cutting skills. Oh dear. God, this is so funny. It's a shame because there are so many leaves that need to be pinned and so many leaves that get to be put on. Which means there's so much dreadful cutting skills that I have to sit through and watch, and you have to sit through and watch, whoever's watching this. Sorry. I have cut out as much as physically possible, but... Also, in case you're wondering where I got the fabrics from, which you probably weren't, one's at the... A fair bit of it was just spare fabric that I had in a box that someone had given me for Christmas. There was also that curtain that I had and a pair of my friend's old culottes. Yeah, a pair of old culottes. I think that was it. I think that's all the material was. Okay, so I forgot to film this part, but I've laid all of the bits out. I pinned it, I tried it on, and when I tried it on, some of them fell out, but that's fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very much take my time and go layer by layer and colour them all in and make them look more like leaves. Okay, so the next part, we need to paint some leaves. So what I've done is, it looks so shoddy, but in my opinion, I'm going to be walking the entire time in the costume anyway, so no one has to see up close the leaf details. But here is like the first one that I've done. That's just me getting to know the paint. So just got some nice fabric paint. I'm going to paint on some leaves onto every single leaf that I have cut out. It's going to be a long, long journey. It was a long journey, but I'm not going to let you see it because this angle, look at my face, is ridiculous. So I'm afraid I'm cutting it here. You cannot watch me paint leaves because I don't know why I kept my camera like that. So sorry about that. We're skipping to the next section. Okay, that's better. There you go, one leaf painted, and I've been doing like the little side bits to the leaf as well. I don't know why, because when all of them come back on, you don't actually notice. Anyway, after that, I decided to take a road trip. By myself, I took a trip to a nice little cabin in the middle of the Lake District in the UK. And it was fab, as you can see here. It was amazing. I had a nice little table, and I brought all of my leaves with me so that I could paint in front of the fire. There was no TV, there was no internet or anything. It was wonderful. I had a great time, and I am going to show you some more of this little trip as well.
I I would happily live somewhere like this forever. Okay, so leaves are all done and painted. After a while I stopped doing like the side bits. Oh, you can't really see that very well, hold on. Yeah, after a while I stopped doing the side bits because I thought it actually looked kind of better just doing one lot of sweeps, if that makes sense, which is not very helpful because all of the little ones, which are the ones that you will actually see, I've got the side sweeps, and I think it looks better without them, so that's fine. If I was to do this again, I'd probably like change that. That'll be the only thing I change. The other stupid thing that I did was on a sewing holiday, a holiday to sew, I forgot to bring my sewing machine. So now I'm gonna have to hand sew stuff. And I decided rather than sewing the leaves to each other, what I've done is I've got, well, I think I already filmed this, but I've got the waistband. So I'm gonna keep that to one side, and I've got this long bit of just fabric. So my plan is to cut this down to my waist, then I'll sew all the leaves to this, and this will go inside of the waistband, like so. And then I'll sew a button onto the end of the waistband, and that should actually be it. Once the button's on the end of the waistband, that should be it. But obviously it is all gonna have to be hand sewed because I forgot my sewing machine. So yeah, we'll do a time lapse of that. See you later.
Now, before sewing them all to this strip of fabric, I did decide to singe the edges to make it less likely to fray. And my god, it went through a lot of matches, but yeah.
And I'm not going to formally do all of this because this will take ages. I'll give you updates though, like every now and then, just show you how it's going. I don't know if I've said up until this point whether I was actually why I was doing this, but it was because originally it was because with one of my circus jobs they want me to be a fairy. So I don't entirely know why. So one of the jobs that I have is where I work for this company helping develop their circus department. So it's like a community run business where they just try to get community in Chorlton to get to know each other and do more activities and try to make people like, yeah, just get art out into the community more. So yeah, they have like an art department, a music department, and a circus department. So I'm the circus developer. There we go, this one done. Yeah, so I'm one of the circus developers. Ouch, I don't know why. I just stuck the needle into my leg so that I wouldn't lose it. That was stupid. Right, let me burn this and then I'll continue whatever it was that I was saying. Okay, so back to what I was saying about my job. Yeah, we essentially just go out and get as many people involved in circus as possible, which is amazing. It's really, really good fun and I like it. And yeah, so now I've got this event coming up where they want me to be a fairy. I have a feeling that it's because we're working with another company, and I guess that they do fairy stuff in that company. Okay, I'm going to interrupt for a minute. I did something else. So rather than wasting all of this lady's matches, I put on the hob, which is a gas burner, so it has fire, and look what it did. So it's made it. So I kind of just went like that along the sides, and you can see it looks so much more like a leaf. There are some parts where it burnt and set fire, and I'm saying just but it looks so much more like a leaf than if I'd have just hemmed the edges or like thing. It also means I don't have to trim down any of the sides where some of the leaves are a bit misshapen from where I cut them. Whereas this makes it just look a little bit more leafy, and I'm very, very happy with that. So back to whatever it was that we were doing before. Okay, first lot done.
Now, on the second day of my trip, I did actually go and visit a friend who was working in the Lake District. I hadn't seen her in months, so it was really nice to go and see her. We went on a claw machine and got matching keychains, which was awesome. Yeah, and I don't have any more filming from my trip, so we're now going to go back home to have a look at how the fairy skirt is going.
Okay, so I might have accidentally finished the skirt without filming it, but essentially what I did was, I don't know what I filmed and what I haven't. So this was folded over the top, sewed all along the bottom, and I added a button. So the button, I literally just put it on my body, marked where the button and the buttonhole should go, sewed the button on, and obviously sewed the hole. It all looks very rough and awful, but I think it's because I couldn't care less, because no one's going to see it. I'll obviously just snip all these bits off as well. But yeah, so now the plan is to put it on and see how she looks, and then we'll add some leaves to the bodice to make it look a little bit more fairy. Yeah. Oh, so this is the dress so far. I am so pleased with it. yeah, I'm so pleased. Unfortunately, this corset is slightly too big for me, but it's fine. It still holds up. It just means that when I do my wings, I'm going to have to add extra support on the inside and make sure that my wings go on first, and then of course it goes on top. Yeah, we'll figure that out when I put it on. But I'm so pleased with it. I love the way the skirts come out. There's like even those little ruffles on the side. I'll definitely make sure I'm wearing shorts on the day. I was going to wear the petticoat underneath, but honestly I don't think I need it. So I've been experimenting with things like this, and I want to use this for like the shoulders, to have like a little fally downy leafy thing on my arm. I've also got other leaves to patch onto here, so I was going to do, if I show you a leaf, so I was going to put some leaves up on the top here, just to add a little bit more on the top. Problem is I've lost my entire pack of leaves, so my plan now is to go to the wings, do the wings first, and then I'll come back to the leaves when I find them. If not, I'll have to go to town, I'll have to buy some more.
For the wings, I spent a really, really long time making these wire ones, and the plan was to wrap them up in tape and make them look a little bit prettier, but that was a year ago, and I ended up borrowing some wings from somebody else for the actual event. So now we are 1 year into the future, living in Australia, and I have finally bought some wings online instead of using the ones that I'd started making. And I think they're so much prettier than what I could have created. Way better. So let's see what everything looks like with everything put together. This is my fairy costume with shoes. So I am so happy with how this has come out. I've already used it for an event for face painting and everyone loved it. So I'm definitely going to be doing more fairy events with that for my business, which is great. And then I made an Instagram reel showing all of the makeup side of it. Well, not all of the makeup side of it, just a nice little transition here. Ta-da! So that's everything with the face paint and makeup on. Oh. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that was mildly beneficial for whoever you are. Have a lovely day. Bye.